Hi guys, welcome back to our channel.
It's good to see you again.
In case you're new here, I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Aaron.
And we're Avery Street Design Studio.
Still.
So today is the second episode of our Christmas series. We're getting this stuff out to you guys early, so you have plenty of time to make it and get it ready to sell.
Yep, you need to get busy on it.
Yep.
Time's a wasting.
So the first thing we're going to do today is a Christmas star. There's going to be a couple of different kinds on here. They're really cute, and I think you guys will really like these.
Yep, we've gone to all the hard work of figuring out all the angles and the cuts for you guys. So we will show you in the video the angles and the measurements of the cut, and then I'll put them in the description again. In
case you're new, angles are Aaron's kryptonite.
Yeah, I hate them
That's one thing he
so
drives him crazy, but he's getting better at them, and we're getting it figured out.
Right.
So
the next one is going to be a winter Christmas sled thing. We're going to make it out of pallets, of course. I don't know if I would sled with it, mostly for decoration.
Yeah, it's going to be small.
Yeah, but very cool. We haven't done anything like this before, so we're excited to give it a shot.
I've seen them like leaning up against a fireplace off to the side or on a mantle with greenery and stuff around them. They're really cute.
Very cool.
And the next thing we're doing is a snowflake.
Yep.
Which I know you guys have probably seen a ton of these. We've kind of created our own design, which is a little bit different. And once again, angles. Yes.
Yeah, love that. Very excited.
But we'll make it easy for you.
Right. The fourth one is going to be a wooden stocking. It'll be a few boards glued together and then the shape cut out, decoration purposes, but very, very nice, cool little project.
Yes.
Excited about that one.
And then the last thing is going to be a freestanding stocking holder. And, you know, a lot of people don't have fireplace mantles or really a place to put stockings.
Nowhere for Santa to come in.
Yeah, so you can have this, you know, in your living room by your tree and easily hang the stockings and, you know, sturdy enough to support them if you fill the stocking. Some people just have them for decoration, but some people actually, you know, really go to town filling them, so this will be good for that. Decorative
or practical, either way, you can use it either way.
And make sure you stick around to the end. We'll have all the finished products, of course, all the measurements, and then we'll go over the pricing of how much we would sell these for.
Right.
And everything you need to know.
Yep. So stick around for part 2 of the Christmas series.
Yep. All right. So our first design is. There are 2 Christmas stars. We've got 2 different kinds. Pretty easy to build, so let's get started on that one.
Right. All right, so we're going to start cutting the parts for the first star we're going to do. It's just a Texas star, basically, is what we're looking at. And we're going to stay true to form and use pallet wood. So I'm going to get started cutting those. The first cut is going to be 45 degrees. Now if we get our first 45 cut, we're going to measure 5 inches from the longest part. And we're going to make another 45 degree cut there. We're going to do that 5 times. And it's helpful to set up a stop block so you don't have to measure every single one. After you've got all your pieces cut 45, 45, we're going to measure this distance right here, and that's exactly 5 inches. So we're going to measure 5 inches on this far side and mark it. And that's where we're gonna make our next cut at 31.6 degrees. I set up a stop block over here so we get the same cut each time on that. After we make the first 31.6 degree cut, we take our piece and just flip it over and cut the opposite side. And we do that on all 5 of the pieces. Now we've got all our pieces cut, and you see they fit together at the 31 degree mark to make the star. There's lots of ways you can assemble this. You could use CA glue, which is great. I don't have any of that on hand. So we're going to use regular glue, and we're going to shoot a short nail into each one of these pieces so they stay together. All right. We'll just do one on the front too, and then we'll fill the holes. All right.
What you doing?
Looking at this picture.
No, what are you doing?
Trying to figure out how to put this star together.
You don't realize you're on camera?
Hey. Little math, doing a little math, y'all. You know how I feel about math.
Yeah.
I love it.
Angles. It's all about the angles.
I'm so bad at math.
Actually, he's really not bad at math at all. Don't let him fool you. It's just the angles. The degree of angle that gets him.
Yeah. No bueno. All right, on the second style star, we've got 2 different sizes of pieces, and they both have different angles cut on each end. The first one, starting with about an 8-inch piece of wood, we use the cedar cutoffs from our clock, so I have a ton of them laying around. This piece is 1 3/4 inches by about 3/4 of an inch. We'll start with one size. That size will start with a 54 degree cut on one end. And we'll do that 5 times. And then we're going to come back and we're going to cut 36 degree cut on the other end. So let's do all the 54 degree cuts first. All right, after we get all those first cuts made, we're going to come back from the long point of the 54 degree cut, and we're going to measure down 6 inches. And we're going to cut 36-inch cut in the opposite direction. Well, that would
36 degrees.
36 degrees. That direction. I don't know how to explain that better.
Opposite
The
direction.
opposite direction. All right, we did 5 of the longer piece. Now we're going to do 5 of the smaller piece, starting with the same first 54 degree cut. So now we've cut the second piece, second size, all 54 degrees on one end, and we're going to measure down 4 3/4 from the long point of that angle, and we're going to cut it 36 degrees at that 4 3/4 degree mark. That's a lot of numbers. Let me measure. Okay, after that mess, we should have 5 long pieces that are 6 inches long, with one side cut at 54 degrees, the other side cut at 36 degrees. And then we should have 5 pieces with the smaller size, it's 4 3/4, with one end at 54 degrees and the other end at 36 degrees. That's as plain as I can explain it. Okay, now we're gonna put them together, which this will be exciting. We're all gonna learn together on this one. We're taking the 36 inch cut on the long one to the 36 inch cut on the short one, and we're gonna glue them and nail them together. When I say I'm terrible at math, I mean I am terrible at math. Okay, we're gonna do that for all 5 sets. Okay, we've got all 5 sets done. Now we're going to assemble the sets together. So we're going to take the 54 degree mark on the long one of this set, and we're going to glue and nail it to the 54 degree mark on the short set. Or the short side, whatever. Now these don't line up angle to angle. The shorter one comes to the bottom side of the angle like that. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. We're glued it, and now we're gonna nail that together. Now we're moving on to the third set. We're going short side 54 degrees to long piece 54 degrees. And once again, we're not meeting the angles together. We're going right to the bottom of the long piece. Now we'll move on to the fourth set.
What did you do right there? What piece did you put with what piece?
Okay, once again, short side 54 degree coming to the edge of the long side 54 degree, and we're going to glue it and nail it together. Now you see it's almost a star. Oops. Okay. The last piece, short side 54 degree to long side 54 degree, we'll glue that. And short side 54 degree to the other long side 54 degree. I almost need 3 hands for this. Now on the last one, short side 54 degree butts up to the long side 54 degree. I put some longer nails in just to give it a little something to grab onto. Be sure not to shoot yourself in the finger, like I said. Or you can go around and put an extra nail through the long side, just so it holds together better. And there's a star. Let's all pat ourselves on the back, because I had no idea that would work out the way it did. So the next project is going to be the decorative sled. We're going to make it out of pallets, of course, using every bit of the pallet this time. From the runners will be the blades of the sled, and then we'll use the planks for the top. This is a very cool little project. I'm excited to do this one, so let's get going on that one.
So we've already cut out one piece of the sled. This is just out of a regular piece of pallet wood. So I've drawn it on this board, and now we're going to cut it out. And those will be the base for the sled. All right.
Nice.
Now just a little cleanup with the sanding because I'm not very good at scroll sawing.
All right. You saw Cheryl cut out the blades / runners for the sled. She did an awesome job. Those are very cool. Now we're going to assemble the thing. And we're going to start by cutting a couple thin strips to go between to hold them together. Those are going to be 10.5 by 1 inch tall. So we're going to do that now. All right, we've got our pieces cut. And I guess you guys needed to see that. It was pretty boring stuff. We're going to stick those there. And we're going to put a long staple in each of them so they stay put. Watch your fingers.
Yes, definitely watch your fingers. I've had to pull a nail out of Aaron's hand before that had punctured all the way through.
More than once.
Yeah. We've been to the emergency room a few times.
Yep.
Between nails and then the table saw got his thumb really bad one day, and he had to get stitches on that one.
Yep.
So always be safe. Better safe than sorry.
Right. 10.5 on that one. This is a little mini sled. Tiny little thing. Don't try to ride it. Probably won't hold up.
I'm sure if you have granddaughters or daughters that are young, they'll try to put their dolls on it.
Yep. That's fine. All right. Now it's held together, we can start putting the top pieces on. All right. So if you've ever seen an old-timey sled, you know, they've got, I guess that would be the steering mechanism, the handles up top. We made this one 14 inches long by 2 inches wide, and we're going to draw a design on it with some curves to make it a little more fancy. So we've got the piece cut, and she's going to draw the design on it, and then we'll cut it out.
Okay, so we decided to change this to 1.5 inches because 2 inches just looked too bulky for such a petite sled. And now we want to add some detail to this so it's not just a straight board. So I have this little plumber's tape that I'm using as a template, and I'm just going to make rounded edges. So I'll just draw that, you know, just find things that are round that are about the right size, and you can generally use these to make your use as little templates. I know they make little art things that have circles and stuff. You can also use those. Okay, so now I want it to kind of go up in the middle. So what I'm gonna do is I found the center of my board, which is 7 inches. And now I'm gonna put this, just the edge of it on here. And I'm gonna mark that so it's nice and round. And then I want this to kind of come out and not just be that little round part. So I'm just sketching a line to kind of smooth it out so it'll gradually go into that half circle or quarter of a circle. And then we'll just cut that out on the scroll saw and it'll be good to put on. All right, just a little cleanup with the sander because, like I said, I'm not the best. I try. I'd probably get better if I had a little more practice, but I like doing it anyway, so.
So here's the steering mechanism all cut out and cleaned up after she sanded it. It looks good. We're gonna put that on, and then we're gonna work on the rest of the sled top. All right, we've got the handle figured out, and we've taken some pallet wood and planed it down on both sides and run one of the edges through the joiner and then cut 8 strips that are 12 inches long by 1.5 inches wide. We chose not to show you the planer and the joiner because really how many times do you want to see that? It's the same over and over. So now we've got to figure out what design we want drawn on the platform part. So she's going to figure that out, and then we'll get them all cut, and then we'll put it together.
So I'm just making sure all the boards are level with one another. And then I've got to do the same thing on the top of this to kind of, so that the design will kind of match that. So I'm going to take my wood filler again, and just kind of make a little curve. I don't want a whole lot of it because once again I'm gonna kind of curve out with it. So just gonna kind of sketch a shape on here, and that will be totally up to you how you want to do it.
Yeah, and if you decide to make these, you can make a template that you can use over and over out of cardboard or whatever.
Thin
MDF.
MDF, yeah. I just kind of rough sketch it on at first, and then if I like the way it looks, then I kind of go over and clean that up so I know which lines I'm cutting. But I think that's what we're gonna do. It kind of mirrors the shape above, so.
You're gonna do the bottom?
I think on the bottom, I'm just gonna round the edges. So I'll get out my handy dandy plumber's tape template. I'm just gonna curve that off like that. Now, if you had a belt sander, you could just hold it and do that. You wouldn't have to cut anything. We don't have a belt sander. That's something on our list of things to get, and we'll get it eventually. So if anybody wants to send us a belt sander to try, we'd be happy to. So I think that's about what I'm gonna do. Now actually I may, now that I'm looking at it, may curve these edges down because I think that would look extra good. And that's it. Now we'll cut it out.
We're gonna cut all these little pieces on the bandsaw, and then we're gonna flip them over and mirror them on the other side to make sure they match.
So now I'm just going to lay these out on top of the other 4 boards to make sure we're even with one another, so it won't be wonky. Which is going to be kind of confusing. I think I've got, no. There we go. Couldn't figure out how to put it back together. Okay. Those are all lined up. And yes, it was a little bit off, so this way it will match perfectly. Just make a pretty dark line so you can see the correct line.
And this would be a good time to make your template should you want to make one.
Yes. Okay, now we'll cut out the other side.
All right, we've got everything cut out. It looks great. We've got a line drawn across both of the under piece, across the top to find the underside. That way we know where to staple. So we're just gonna start picking them up and putting a little glue under there and nailing them into place.
So how come you're doing the outside piece next instead of the pieces in the center?
So I can make sure the line stays level as I go across.
Oh, good idea.
If you do one piece at a time, you could tend to travel up or down and not be where you're supposed to be. Now we can just glue them and put them back down, and we know we're on the right track.
That's a great tip.
Great tip, y'all. Write it down.
Well, it was a valid question from me, so I'm sure if I work out here in the wood shop, and if I have questions, I'm sure lots of other people do too.
Yep. All right. You could also use finish nails or staples, either one. I use staples all the time. That's what I have in my gun all the time, so you do whatever you want. All right, now we're gonna put the little steering wheel on.
We'll also drill holes in that and put a rope through it, because you know all sleds have a little rope. That can be the thing you could hang it with if you want to hang it on the wall, or you can just have the rope just kind of hanging down for aesthetics.
That's right. There's your sled ready for winter.
Ready to go sledding.
Now we're gonna fill these holes and we'll give it a good sand, and then we'll come back and paint it here in a little bit.
All right. Okay, the next project is going to be our snowflake. It's really pretty. It's got a lot of angles, but Aaron will go through all those with you.
We'll get through it together, y'all.
Yes. Let's get started on that one.
Yep. Okay, guys. Angles. We got a lot of them. We're going to make the snowflake. The snowflake is just a bunch of 45-degree cuts. A bunch of little diamonds and whatever shape that is. I will give you the measurement of each of these in the description because, well, it's taken a while to figure them out, and if you want to make them, this will be helpful. So the Snowflake is 20 inches diameter, 20-inch diameter. We're going to start by cutting out the 3 20-inch sticks and getting them stuck together, and then we can start building all the little angles and the little diamonds and all that. So let's get started with that. All right, we're going to cut all of our parts before we start putting together. That way we've got them all and we don't have to keep bouncing back and forth from saw to table. So we're going to start with the diamonds. We cut these out of, and these are cut-offs again from our shelf wood. They're just scraps. They're 1.5 inches wide. They're about 1/4 inch thick.
You could use runners and use cut-offs that way.
Yeah, you can use anything you want.
Yep.
These are easy to work with because they're thin and they're skinny, and we just have a you know what load of them. So start off with a 45 degree on one end. And you can do it either way, whichever direction you're more comfortable with. This is the template. Well, like I said, I'll put it in the description. And once you get your template, you can just start marking. And the easier way to do that would be to set up a stop block so you know everyone's going to be the same rather than marking 75 little pieces. All right, we've got all the diamonds cut. We're going to cut this piece, which is a point on one end and a 45 on the other. This is where a template would really come in handy, because measuring 16 or however many, 8 of these, 12 of these, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 of these would be a big headache. Start with a 45 on one end and line up your point to the 45, and then you can just drop it in the trash. Get your point cut, and then you can mark your 45 and just cut that. Also, stop block. Can you see that?
Yep.
All right, let's start putting this thing together. We've got all of our parts cut, and we're gonna find the middle of these boards, which is 10 inches. Line them up and draw a line across the 3 of them. Bowed? No. Okay. Now we eye glue and tiny nail these. I've got some 1/2 inch finish nails. Anything longer with this particular wood, it would go all the way through. All right, we're just gonna put a little bit of glue there, and then we're just gonna eyeball as best we can the even.
Spread them out a little more.
Yeah, well.
There you go.
Eyeball them. This. Does that look even?
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay, whenever you find a position you like, put them in there. Now we'll set the third one on top. All right, we've got it spaced evenly the way we want it. And we're gonna start from the outside edge, putting a diamond at the end of each one of these sticks. And the way I was doing it was lining up the points of the diamond with the edge of the board, trying to get it as straight as I could. Okay. And from that point, we're going to start adding the pointed angle pieces. We did this from the inside out yesterday on the sample, and it was difficult to get everything lined up, so this is the way we decided to do it. And on this one, we are making the inside angle basically touch the angle of the diamond. Now we're going to start on the inside. We're going to find kind of a center point there. Okay, starting in the middle, we're going to get a little bit of glue out there. And each one of these points meets this middle point and go like points between the arms of the snowflake.
There it is.
There's that one.
So recently we've been asking people to send in pictures of the projects that you build that you've learned from us. Mm-hmm. We would love to have those so we can display them to the world.
Yeah.
So you guys get them sent in. We'll include our email address.
We'll put the email address right here. Send them to this along with your name. About midway through an episode, we will showcase your stuff. We'll give you credit for it.
Yep.
Very exciting. We're happy to have the ones that have sent them in so far. That's very cool.
And just make sure you put the subject of the email that it is pictures for the YouTube channel.
Right.
And so we'll know, because if you just put an attachment on the email with nothing else, we probably won't open it.
Lots of spam.
So just make sure you
yep. Send them
put that in there.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So we've drawn out the shape of a stocking, and right now we're just making a template with some thin board, and we've cut off the big bulky parts on the bandsaw, and we're going to cut the rest off with the scroll saw. Okay, there it is. So now that we have our stocking template made, we can just reuse this over and over and make as many stockings as we want, and it'll be a lot easier now. So now we're just going to trace it onto the board.
And if this is something you feel like making and you have the means. This template would be good for using a flush cut bit on a router table.
And just like that, easy peasy, it's traced out. Now all we have to do is cut out the stocking. All right, so now we're gonna paint our stockings. I don't know if you can see it, but I've taken a pencil and drawn a line for the top of the stocking because this is gonna be white. And then I drew a line for the heel, which will be white, and then the tip of the stocking. So I'm gonna start with the red. I guess it doesn't matter which color you start with. And I'm gonna paint the lines around the areas. Try to anyways. All right, so that's the red. I'm probably gonna let the first coat of red dry and before I put on the first coat of white because I don't want it to get pink around the edges. So I'll just set that to dry. So now I'm gonna go in with the white. I've given the red a little bit of time to dry. That way when my lines meet, it doesn't make pink. I'm just using some Waverly white chalk paint. I guess I should have gotten a bigger brush. I think I picked the smallest brush I could find. I'm just gonna go ahead and pour a little of this paint on here. Yeah, it doesn't pour very well. I read somewhere that this Waverly chalk paint is more opaque than just your regular white craft paint, so that's why I chose it. Either way is fine though. You know, the craft paint is cheaper, and like I've showed you guys before, you can always add plaster of Paris to it and make it into chalk paint, which that probably is what gives it the opaqueness. If opaqueness is a word, I'm not sure.
Dressed in moonlight, I whisper your name, can't get any sleep. Smoking cigarette after cigarette, I watch them burn until I forget we're through. Baby, tell me what to do. Promises got lost in the dust. Your boots by the door, you're not coming home. Stuck in the
All right, I'll straighten it up some more on the second coat of white, but that's looking pretty good so far.
So I've got the stockings all painted, and we're going to do some engraving with our XTOOL. Big thanks to XTOOL for sending us this machine. We love it. We're going to take a design that we created in Canva and open it on the free XTOOL program that comes with the machine, and just get it sized and get the background removed and get ready to engrave it on the machine. This program is so great. You can take any picture or any words or any combination of the two and make it to where you can engrave it or cut it out of almost any material. And once we get the design positioned the way we want it in the program, we put it inside the machine and we set the power to about 40%, which is perfect for this painted finish. And we just close the lid and let it do its thing. And about 6 minutes later, we had Merry Christmas engraved on these stockings. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. We've been in this kind of business for about 10 years now, and I can't tell you how many times I wish we would have had this machine in all the years we've been doing this. This has just opened up a whole new world for our business. Any idea that we have, we can make it come to life now. Seriously, if you guys are even a little bit interested in getting one of these, visit the link in our description. Go check it out. I promise you, you won't regret it.
Okay, and our final project is the freestanding stocking holder. It's going to be pretty easy, straightforward. The only thing you'll need to get for this are some hooks or some clips. Either one will work.
Both pretty inexpensive.
Yes. So let's get started on that one.
Yep. All right, the next one we're doing is the freestanding stocking holder. Once again, all pallet wood, reclaimed wood. We got some really nice, thick, those are actually probably 2x4s. Nice, big, thick wood there. And then for the hanging part where you put the hooks to hold the stockings, that's like 1x6-ish. Another piece of pallet wood. It's got some knots on it that we'll have to deal with, but that's not bad. And then for the feet, we've got these also really thick pieces of 2x4. This is a very simple project. Nothing fancy about it except the feet have some decorative edge routed onto them. So let's get going on that. All right, we're going to start out by cutting the leg parts to 33 inches. We're going to use the big fat 2x4s. So we had a viewer request to see the routing I do up close. This is the OG bit. This is what it looks like. And we're going to go around all four sides of each one of the feet. So here you go. We've decided to fancy it up a little bit and do the the face of the hanging part, I guess, where the stockings hang. We're going to do it with the same OG bit. Alright, we've got our face piece routed, so I did a quick sand on it because it was really furry wood. We've got our legs cut and sanded. Now we're going to attach the legs to the feet, which have also been routed and sanded. So I'm going to find the center points to drill the screw holes, and then we'll attach the legs. Now we've marked the halfway point between both legs, or between half the width of the foot. You know what I mean. You guys hear me? So the center point, or this piece of wood centered on the foot, we're going to measure 3 11/16 from each end. And this is where the leg is going to sit. It's where we're going to screw the holes. You see the leg will fit right in.
Wait, continue.
She asked why I was marking on the bottom of the foot, because I'm going to drill through the bottom up through the top, and we're going to screw the leg to the foot from the bottom. So that is why all the marks on the bottom of the foot. Okay, now we need a comfortable place for the screws to be screwed in. Probably, inch and a quarter from each end of the, yeah. All right, that's where we're going to drill. All right, we're going to put some glue here, and we're going to hold it up to the bottom of the foot, and I'm going to put a couple nails in just to hold it in place, and then we'll screw it. Actually, just one nail will be plenty. All right. All right, we're gonna drill a couple countersinks in here so the screws are flush with the bottom.
What kind of bit is that?
This is a countersink bit.
Hold it up to the camera. I didn't know those existed.
It makes a divot that your screw head fits down inside of, so it's flush with the bottom of the leg.
Very nice.
They also make drill bits, countersink drill bits that have this with a long drill bit coming out so you can drill and countersink at the same time. All right, we're just gonna go ahead and drill the foot or screw the foot to the leg. Okay, now we're gonna attach the
Place to hold the stock.
place to hold the stockings. I don't know why I can't figure that out. We've got an inch overhang on each side to match the inch overhang from the foot to the leg. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue under there. I guess we'll just staple it and we can fill the holes. If you're going to build these to ship them, you'll probably want to screw this in so it can be removed and it all taken apart for shipping. But this will be ours, so we'll be hanging on to it. All right, we've got to put this piece between the legs at the bottom to give it some stability. This is about a 2-inch piece of cut off 2x6. I've made a mark all the way across 5 inches up from the foot, and I've made a mark at the halfway point on each side of the 2x6. And we are just going to guesstimate the middle of that where it splits the leg, and we're going to put a couple nails in. I'm not plugged in. Sorry. This is another thing where if you're going to sell these to ship, you might want to put either screws in through each side or pocket hole screws on the back. We do that a lot. They work out really good. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I've gone ahead and sanded the snowflakes by hand. I don't want to put a sander to them or probably break. So real quick sand on the wood filler. And now we're gonna paint them both white, and we're gonna do some sparkly stuff over that.
Sorry, there was a piece of
I missed a spot.
wood filler that I had to pick off.
You might want to sand these before you put them together. That would probably be smart. I didn't do that. It'll add texture. We're just using white spray paint because there's lots of little spots to get in and out of with a brush.
Oh, that would take forever to paint
Yeah.
with a brush. And this is a gloss white because snowflakes are shiny. And I think that would be pretty. Of course, you can do a matte finish and make them more rustic looking, but I think snowflakes should sparkle myself. But.
Yep. This is probably gonna take a couple coats. We're gonna do it light so we don't get a bunch of runs all over it.
Is that one of my blonde hairs on it?
That is a spider web.
Spider web, okay.
A dust. Whoop,
Don't do that, y'all.
dust web.
There we go. If you want to do several coats of the spray paint, you probably want a primer spray paint first, like a
Yeah.
because it's opaque. Then you just do that. I'm going to do that and then one coat of spray paint. I don't think I have any spray paint tools right now.
There you go.
We're going to use this.
I didn't buy this stuff. There's no something already.
Yeah, so this is going to be zero cost for us. I just can't spray paint for the paper itself. The wood was wrapped around. Trying to get glue on with the nails in.
Yep.
Almost.
And free is for me.
Yeah, free is for me.
All right, we got the first one painted, got a coat on it. This is the bigger one. This is the one we built on camera. We're gonna paint it now.
Okay, so the snowflake paint has dried. You can say it's got a shine to it because it was gloss spray paint. Now I'm gonna take my tiny, tiny can of glitter. It's not really glitter, it's more like a shimmer, and it'll just give it some sparkle and look very Christmassy. Those are our dogs barking in the background. Apparently my voice must sound funny.
You guys know the dogs.
If we ever like goof around and talk with a different voice, they bark and act crazy like we're somebody else. But like if you have a booth set up at a Christmas craft show, having something sparkly in your booth hanging on the wall or wherever will attract people, and under the lights, usually in those places, they'll catch the light and look really good. So it's just enough shimmer to look pretty, but not tacky like big chunks of glitter. I really like it. So that's that. So here's the little teeny tiny cute little can of glitter spray I bought. If you can see the price, it's $4.99 for this tiny can. Now the big can was $8.99, which is probably the better value, but I chose to just buy a little because I'm only gonna use a little. I like glitter, but only like at Christmas. I think that's the time to make things sparkle. The rest of the year, I like more of the distressed farmhouse type of look, but I just wanted to show you guys how expensive this tiniest little can costs. So use it sparingly.
So we're gonna move on to the two stars. They're gonna be silver and gold metallic color, but when you're painting with those, they're really thin, so it's better to have a white base coat or a similar color base coat, solid color, to cover the wood, and then you can come back and do the gold and the silver. Really, it's just something to fill up the grain.
I wouldn't worry about the edges with the white, just the top. That's really not very good white spray paint, is it?
No, it was like $1.
Was it? Is it from Lowe's?
Yeah.
So maybe it pays to spend a little bit more on your spray
It does.
paint.
More expensive is usually better as far as spray paint goes. Now, this stuff's garbage.
Yeah. Very see-through.
Yep.
That's probably good.
So we'll come back with one of the silver or gold on that.
And that stuff is junk.
Yeah. Okay, we got the one Texas star, I guess we'll call it. We're gonna do silver and metallic on it, and we put the white on it already, so this should cover really well.
And if you guys, you know, don't spray paint much, just take your time. It's better to do several light coats than to try to put too much on all at once. That's when you start getting runs.
Yeah, and it won't dry if you put too much on at one time.
Yeah. And if you mess up, you know what? We've messed up lots of times. Just get out your sander, sand it back down, and start over.
Or throw it away and build a new one.
That's the great thing about wood. You can just sand it back down.
That's right. Now on the other star, we're just going to go straight to the gold because it's better paint, and we have enough to do several coats if we need to.
It's a little more opaque. So many times the silvers and golds, they're very translucent and you can kind of see through them, and you need like an opaque background, but this gold in particular is pretty opaque, so I think it'll work out without having a primer or a white coat down first.
You probably could have used a primer, but it'll be all right. We'll put multiple coats on it.
This kind of can also has is so much easier to spray because it's got the
it's got like
not the thing that you just pull back with your finger.
Kinda.
Yeah. Those regular cans of spray paint end up hurting my finger after painting for a while.
Yeah, they're hard to use for very long.
But they also sell those things you can put on top of a can of spray paint. I don't know if you've seen them, and it makes it like a
your spray gun.
Spray gun, yeah. Those are worth getting.
Yep. All right, there's a coat on that one. It'll probably need a couple more, but it looks good so far.
It's gonna look really pretty. I'm gonna string some micro LED lights around it. My daughter got married a year ago, and we had a bunch of the LED lights for the centerpieces, floral arrangements, and I had quite a few left over. I had ordered them from Temu. I think I got like, I don't know, a ridiculous amount, like 30 of them for a few dollars. Really, check out Temu or Temu, however it's pronounced, for things like that, because you can get them so cheap.
Mm-hmm. This is the third coat of the gold. I did a little scuff sand in between this coat and the last coat, just to knock down some of the rough areas.
Will you show them what kind of sanding thing you used, so they'll know?
Yep, it was I think that's like a 100 grit little thin cheap sanding sponge you get at I get these at the paint store. They're like 80 cents a piece or something. Alright. So I've gone ahead and put a coat, excuse me, a coat on the bottom side of the little sled. I did that off camera because it's the part nobody will ever see. But we've got that. with a coat on it, and then we'll flip it over and I'll show you guys painting the top side of it.
And this is a red gloss
Yep.
spray paint.
Spray paint. Spray paint is awesome when you're painting because you don't have to brush anything, you don't have to clean anything up. So
And you can go, it makes you go really fast doing it, so.
this red is fantastic. It
Yeah.
covers really well. So I'll come back and show you the top part in a minute. Okay, now the bottom of the sled is dry. I'm going to do the top so everybody can see it. This is really, really thick, good covering spray paint, so it might only take a couple coats, maybe not even that. It's good.
So is there a correct way and an incorrect way to spray paint? Is there like any kind of tips you could give them about like doing little curves like that?
Light coats. Slow, you know,
Don't
don't try to
down.
cover it all in one coat. This
Yeah.
is probably okay because it's really good paint.
Well, I guess what I mean is I see on like the little bits, you're just kind of going spray, spray,
Yeah, just a
spray,
little
spray.
bit. Don't stay in one place too long.
Yeah.
I've been spraying paint with an airless sprayer for 30 years now, so it's just kind of natural, but you just kind of want a real light overlap each pass, about half. And if it's a color that's going to take more than one coat, several light passes. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of mystery to it.
That's a pretty red.
It is. This will probably take a second coat, but that's really good paint.
Yeah, Rust-Oleum.
Yeah, I think this was like $7 a can, excuse me.
I mean, and you guys may already know all that about spray painting, but I thought we'd just include those little tips for those of you that aren't familiar with using spray paint too much. I hope that helps.
People keep asking us to share our finishing tips, and I've offered a bunch of times. Just little things like that are all I can offer. Otherwise, it's just doing it and getting experience doing it.
Trial and error.
Right. And believe me, even though I've been painting for 30 years, I get runs all the time. It just happens. Nobody's perfect at all.
And on the spray paint, if you get a spot that has if you have just like one run, you can take and just sand that one little section.
Yeah, or you can dab it with a rag before it's dry.
Yep.
When it dries, just kind of scuff it up and it'll disappear. You'll never even see it.
Yep.
All right. All right, this is dry. We're gonna hit it one more time and that'll probably be good for the sled. Whatever that is. All right. So the last thing we're doing is the stocking stand holder. We've got these little, I guess, alligator clips or something that we're going to put on to hold the stockings. And this is going to hold 4. So before I paint it, I'm going to lay out where we want them, and I'm going to drill the holes so we don't have to do that and mess up the white paint. So,
Ideally, you should use probably a hook,
yeah.
but we don't have any hooks right now, so we're just going to use these clips. They're actually really strong clips, but you know, put on there whatever you choose to hold the stockings on. I think for us, those will be fine because our stockings are decorative. They're not really, we don't fill them, so.
Yeah, we're old for stockings.
Yeah.
So these are about 6 3/4 inches apart from each other. That's about as evenly spaced as I can make them.
And even if we decided to fill the stockings, once this is on here, it's going to be very secure. We could hang the stocking on the clip itself, so you could either clip it or hang it on that thing. So.
Yeah, and we're going to screw them to the face of this, so they'll be on there pretty good. So I've got my holes marked, and I'm gonna drill a little hole real quick, and then we'll paint it. So we're just using the tiniest, I don't even know if you guys can see that.
Yeah, they can see it.
Tiniest drill bit I've got, just to make a little pilot hole so the wood doesn't split when we go to screw in the screws.
And the screws we're going to use are silver, but our clips are black. These are the screws. So we'll probably spray paint our screws so they'll match.
Right. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and start painting this thing. Just using white latex as we do on most everything.
All right, guys. So those are the 5 projects we did this week. We did the Christmas stocking holder. We did the sled. We did 2 different kinds of stars, snowflakes, and the stockings. Which the stockings and the sled oil. I love all of it. Those are my personal favorites. But I think the stocking holders are a great idea because.
Yeah.
Like, where do you put stockings when you don't have a fireplace mantle?
Yeah, we'll start with that one. We can't really get it in the picture here very well, so here's what it looks like finished. We hung some stockings on it so you could see what it would look like. This one, if you're going to sell it, I would make it in a way where you can take it apart, flat pack it, because that'll be a lot cheaper than a big square box. We would go $175 on that one. Plus shipping. Probably all these are going to be plus shipping.
Yes.
Because shipping is hit or miss. You don't really know.
And on the stocking holder, the part across, I mean, you could decorate it any way you want. You know, you can do that as an added feature. Like, you could personalize them with stencil or with vinyl, however you do your lettering.
And you can make the part that holds the stockings taller to accommodate.
Yeah.
Personalization.
I've seen them on Etsy, and they do offer the personalization. They offer like a choice of stain color or paint color. You could wrap ribbon around it, tie a big bow, you know, all those extras. And
make it bigger or smaller depending on your family.
Many stockings. Yeah, so you can offer wider ones. Yep. You know, and all those little extras that you add to it will make your product stand out from the rest.
That's right.
I really like that one.
I do too. Let's do the little stars and get them out of the way.
Yeah. Now, we painted these silver and gold because I thought, well, silver and gold, well, there's a Christmas song that sings silver and gold. Would I paint these to sell this color? Maybe not.
Probably not.
I noticed when we painted this color, you could see all the little imperfections in the wood, and I really didn't like that. I also thought about it could be painted this color and then taped off and a white star painted in the middle, but still have the silver around the edges.
And as far as this one goes, I probably would not make them out of cedar. Cedar, like I said, is so porous. It's like a sponge.
Yeah.
So metallic colors on cedar, not so much.
And these are just those little micro LED lights. I ordered, I think, 30 of them on Temu, however you say it, for like $2 or $3.
Yeah.
And they just have this little thing back here. They come with the battery and everything.
Yep.
So that's a great price.
Yeah, they're really cheap. The small one we would do 25 on, and the bigger one we would do 55, and that was including the lights from the comparisons I saw.
Yes.
So not including shipping. And something about shipping on Etsy, they've started more or less demanding that you are at $6 or less on your shipping.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to do that, they're going to put your stuff way at the bottom of the search. So my advice would be factor your shipping into your price so you don't have to hassle with that.
And these lights also
Yeah, they
have
turn on and off.
flash, slow flash,
Yeah, fancy.
or stop.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's those. Get those out of the way.
Yes. Now they also sell these kind of lights at Hobby Lobby. They're a little more
Yeah, more
expensive,
expensive.
but you know, if you don't have time to wait, because who knows when stuff will get to you from overseas right now.
We'll do the
Snowflakes.
snowflakes, my nemesis.
I think these turned out really pretty.
They did.
The shimmer spray we bought just added that little extra snowflake touch to them. I've also seen these painted like a soft blue or even like a almost aquamarine blue, but real pastel, real pale.
Right.
And the shimmer would look really pretty over those as well.
Yep. The small one we would do 30 on. The larger one we would do 40 on. And you can either do a bigger or a smaller than either of these and make them a set.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know what the shipping would be on these. I would definitely charge shipping because it's going to be a fragile box. Because
you have to pack it really well.
So there's those.
But for local shows, fall, winter shows, craft shows, those are going to be, all this stuff is going to be what people are looking for, and they'll all sell really well.
And you can make them hang on the wall. You can put a hanger on them or stand on the shelf or hang from the ceiling if you want.
Yes.
All right. This one is another partnership with XTOOL. Thank you, XTOOL.
Yes.
We appreciate it very much. These are the little personalized stockings we made out of the pallet wood. Very, very cool little thing.
I had some of this in my craft supply, this rope. So I just tied that on there. I got one thing of Christmas greenery at Hobby Lobby for like $2.99. And I just cut off little branches of it. So that $2.99 piece will do like 6 to 8 stockings, sorry.
Yeah.
And then I bought some little jingle bells because I thought those were cute. Now on the XTOOLS engraving, this one looks kind of silver and that one looks kind of gold, which I really like. This was at 40% power of engraving, and that was 50. So it kind of changes the difference in how dark or kind of what color they look. But it's really cool that it turned out silver and gold.
Yeah.
So
very cool. And if there's not a lot of these out there. We couldn't find many at all.
This is something pretty unique right now. So
this is untapped thing.
Yeah. So.
Right. So
easy to make.
Right. These we would do 20 each, and if you personalize them, maybe a little more than that.
Yep.
They're easy to pack, so maybe throw another $5 on your shipping price or charge extra.
You could get a Merry Christmas stencil.
Or an XTOOL.
or an XTOOL, or, you know, if you don't have the money to get an XTOOL is what I'm saying, a stencil, or you could get a little screen print thing. I've seen those, you know, where you just rake the paint across it, which is a great idea too. But I mean, by all means, if you can get the engraver, that's
I got to tell you,
easy.
if you guys are even a little bit interested in the XTOOL, you should find a way to get one. This thing, it does everything.
Yeah.
It's crazy what this thing can do. And if you're interested, we will put a link in the description to the XTOOL. Get one.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you have to save up for it, get one. We should have got one years ago.
Yeah, we realize now we have barn door clocks, and we've been buying pre-made numbers to put on these because they're raised numbers. Well, we can cut them out with our XTOOL, and we're like, why in the world didn't we do that a long time ago?
We could make 1,000 of them for what 5 costs. So,
yeah.
Look into it, really.
Yeah.
So
it's a great thing.
Yep. And then is this the last one?
Yes.
The last one is the cutesy little sled.
Now, if I was going to have this hanging, I left it without anything on it so you guys could see the sled. I think I would put maybe like a bow right here and maybe some of this kind of greenery with some pine cones. I think that would be really pretty. But that's up to you. And if you want to dress it up or just sell the sled and let your customers dress it up, however you want to do that.
You could lean it or hang it or whatever you want to do. We had fun making this thing.
The grandkids already saw it and they were trying to play with it.
Don't touch.
Yep.
So this one we would do for $60.
Yes.
And not including shipping. I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I think it's adorable.
Yep. So that's it on the projects.
We've already started on a whole bunch more for next week that we're excited about. And we've got tons of ideas. So we're going to keep doing these for a while with the Christmas series.
Until you guys get tired of seeing them, we're going to do them.
Yeah, at some point you're like, okay, guys, enough with Christmas. Just comment and let us know. We'll switch it up. But
don't forget, if you want to participate in the showing your projects, I put the email address earlier in the episode. So please send us your stuff. Send us your name if you want to showcase your builds that we've done.
Yes.
We'd love to see them.
Yeah, we're just so excited to see what you guys have done and would love to show it to the world.
Yep. So please like our video, subscribe to our channel. If you're watching and you like our stuff but you don't subscribe, please subscribe. We would really appreciate it.
It helps us out so much. Yes, it does.
So that's going to be it for this one. We appreciate you all watching.
We will see you next
We
week.
will. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.